to today's 60-minute Vinyasa flow yoga class. I'm Jill Baird, and in today's class, we will be stretching our hips, our quads, our shoulders, and we will be strengthening our backside body, our back core. We will be strengthening our glutes, we'll be strengthening our quadriceps, and so much more. So go ahead and come on down to your mat. If you have a yoga block that you like to practice with, go ahead and grab that. There will be a couple of postures in the class today where a yoga block is optional, but not necessary. So if you don't have a yoga block, not to worry. We're going to begin today's class in a seated position, Sukhasana, cross-legged seat. If your hips are particularly tight, it's nice to sit on a block. So go ahead and, if you have that block, grab it and just bring it underneath your tush. Have a seat. You can cross whichever leg is comfortable in front. And then go ahead and close your eyes. Bring your palms to your thighs, either backs of your palms resting on your thighs so that your palms are facing up, or you can bring your palms to face down. It's really your choice. Relax your shoulders down into their sockets. Begin to arrive physically on your mat, but also mentally arrive in your body as well. So check any baggage at the door. Leave any thoughts, any problems, any worries, any regrets from the morning, from yesterday, from last week at the door. And equally leave anything that is to come, either today or something that you're giving a lot of thought to that's going to happen in the future. Leave that at the door as well. Because if we spend our time thinking about, worrying about, regretting things that have happened in the past, or using our energy to try to figure out exactly how something will play out in the future, then we rob ourselves of the present moment. And the best gift that we can give ourselves for the time on our mat is the gift of presence, of being completely here. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose, fill up completely, and an open mouth exhale. Again, deeper, fuller inhale, drawing in even more breath than you did with the first breath. And an open mouth exhale, empty out completely. Let's take one more. Deepest, fullest inhale yet. Bringing in breath until you feel like there's no space for even one more sip. And then challenging yourself to take in just one more sip of air. And with an open mouth, exhale, empty out completely. And when you feel empty, see if perhaps you can let go of just one more little sip of air. Continue taking those deep inhales, powerful exhales with sealed lips, and a slight constriction in the back of your throat, engaging your ujjayi breath if that's in your practice. With your next inhale, go ahead and blink your eyes open. Lengthen your crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And with your next exhale, just gently guide your shoulders down and back into their sockets. Again, inhale, lengthen. And this time on the exhale, go ahead and bring your fingertips down to the mat. So I'm up on my fingertips since I'm up on the block. Hug your shoulder blades in towards one another. Inhale. And as you exhale, go ahead and bring your right hand to the left side of your head and just gently guide your right ear down towards your right shoulder. Feel that nice deep opening in the left side of your neck. Down your left arm. Take an inhale, release. And exhale, switch it out. Left hand to the right side of your head and just gently guide your left ear down towards your left shoulder. Very gentle. Continue pressing those right fingertips into the mat. And on your next inhale, go ahead and come back through center. Exhale, breath here. And then inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the right. Left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. Right fingertips at the base of your spine or just behind you. Gaze out towards your right or back over your right shoulder if that's accessible to you. Continue lifting the crown of your head as you twist from your mid-belly. Your left ribs begin to peel open over towards the right as those right ribs come back behind you. On your next inhale, come back through center, fingertips lift. And exhale, counter twist. Right hand to the outside of the left knee, left fingertips to the earth behind you. Lift your chest towards your chin, crown of your head towards the ceiling, and either gaze out towards your left or back over your left shoulder. Continue building some heat with the breath. And on your next inhale, come back through center. And as we exhale, make your way into a tabletop. So if you have the block, just go ahead and set it up at the top of your mat. Stacking our shoulders over our wrists, hips over our knees, toes can be tucked or untucked. We're gonna flow through 3 rounds of cat-cows here. So inhale, cow pose, melt your belly, press your chest forward, and lift the back of your hips. Exhale, tuck, round, and curl. Draw your belly button towards your spine, chin in towards your chest, tailbone down towards the mat. Inhale, cow pose. Pull back onto your hands as if you're pulling them back towards your knees to draw your chest even further forward and spread your collarbones even wider. Exhale, cat pose, tuck around and curl. Channel that Halloween scaredy cat here as you imagine lifting that spot between your shoulder blades even higher to the ceiling. Inhale, cow pose, make it yours. And exhale, cat, tuck around and curl. Inhale back to your neutral tabletop. Exhale, pull your belly button back towards your spine. Inhale, spinal balance. Extend your right leg straight back out of your right hip as you reach your left fingertips forward in line with your left shoulder. With your exhale breath, hug your low ribs in, hug your belly button in. And inhale, find just a little bit more length from those fingertips to the heel. Exhale, tuck round and curl. Knee in towards chest, elbow towards knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck around and curl. Maybe press those right fingertips a little bit more into the mat. Inhale, lengthen, extend. And last time, exhale, tuck, round, and curl. Awakening those muscles in the front abs. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, kick your right heel in towards your glute. Reach your left hand back for the outside of your right hand and come into archer's bow. As you press your hand into your foot, foot into your hand. Keep your right shoulder directly over your right wrist and hip points facing down towards the mat. Your gaze can be down or your gaze can be in front of you. One more inhale here, lift those toes just a little bit higher. Exhale, re-extend, and come back into tabletop pose. Inhale, left leg straight back out of the left hip, and right fingertips straight out of the right shoulder. Exhale, hug your right shoulder down as you lift your left heel. Inhale, find some more length. And exhale, tuck, round and curl. Inhale, lengthen like you're moving through mud. Exhale, tuck, round and curl. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck, round and curl. See how close you can get that left knee in towards your forehead. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend the left knee, heel in towards glute. Reach that right hand around for the top or the outside of the left foot. Archer's bow. Kicking the foot into the hand, hand into the foot. Stretching into our front left hip and hip flexor here. And again, your gaze can be beyond the horizon of your mat or towards the wall in front of you, whatever feels better on your neck. One more inhale. Exhale with control, release, and come into your tabletop pose. Tuck your toes. Inhale, hover your knees about an inch off the mat as you really fire up those muscles in your front abs. And exhale, hips towards heels. Find length from fingertips to the tip of the tail. And inhale, downward facing dog. Beginning to take any movements here that feel good in your body. Maybe pedaling your feet, wagging your tail from side to side. Maybe shifting forward into a high plank just to make sure that the spacing between your feet and your hands is good for you. And then coming back into downward facing dog. Beginning to find some stillness in your dog as your heels come a little bit closer towards the earth. Spread all 10 fingers nice and wide. Press into the mat with your palms, your knuckles, your fingertips, like you're pressing the mat forward and away from you. Spiral your triceps back towards your toes, your biceps up towards your ears, and gaze back between your knees or between your feet. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend your knees, empty your breath. Step your feet behind your hands. Forward fold, ragdoll. Option opposite pinky to the crook of the opposite elbow. Or you can bring thumb to opposite elbow and kind of pull your arms down. Let your chin come in towards your chest and the crown of your head lengthen towards the mat as you let any worries roll off your shoulders here. On your next exhale, bring your fingertips to the mat. You can toe heel, big toes to touch, or keep a space between your feet, whatever feels best to you. And inhale, rise, circle sweep the arms up, Tadasana mountain pose. Exhale, thumbs to heart center, Samasthiti. A good spot in your practice to set an intention. Why did you show up on your mat today? What do you hope to achieve, or what do you hope to reap from these 60 minutes? Inhale, Tadasana, mountain pose, arms sweep up. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hinge from your hip creases, slight bend in the knees, fingertips to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen, flat back, hug your shoulder blades in and back towards your hips as you lengthen the crown of your head forward. And exhale, fingertips to the earth. Inhale, extend your left leg straight back out of your left hip. Step way back with those left toes, crescent lunge. Left knee finds the mat, fingertips overhead. Stack your shoulders over your hips as you make sure that that right knee is stacked over your right ankle. Inhale, gaze up towards your pinkies, and exhale, cactus arms. Draw your elbows down into your side, lift your chest. Inhale, crescent lunge, and exhale, windmill your palms. Step back, high plank, top of a push-up. Inhale, shift forward, and exhale, slowly lower from your knees or your toes all the way down to your belly, and your entire front side body arrives at the same time. Untuck your toes, press into the tops of your feet. Inhale, cobra pose. Loop your shoulders down and back into their sockets. Hug your elbows in towards one another and spread your collarbones wide. Exhale, lower. Inhale, tuck your toes, high plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, extend your left leg straight back out of your left hip. Lift through the inseam of that left leg, slightly pigeon toe the left toes in towards the midline of the body. Take an inhale. And exhale, low lunge. Step your left foot up towards your left hand. Surrender your right knee. Inhale, Vinyasa, crescent lunge. Find length along your backside body and draw your front ribs in and down towards your hips. On your next exhale, cactus arms. Draw the elbows down into the side. Lift your chest up towards your chin. So more of a chest opener than a back bend here. Inhale, crescent lunge. And exhale, windmill your palms. High plank, top of a push-up. Inhale, shift forward. And exhale, slowly with control. Lower all the way down to your belly. Untuck your toes, slide your palms back towards your midribs, and inhale, peel up a little bit higher, crescent lunge. Cobra pose, gaze forward. Loop your shoulders down. Exhale, lower. And inhale, high plank, top of a push-up. Exhale, downward, facing dog. Inhale, gaze towards your thumbs. Exhale, bend your knees, empty your breath, and step or float feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Root down, rise up. Inhale, Tadasana pose. Exhale, Samasthiti. Thumbs at heart center. Inhale, Tadasana, circle, sweep the arms up. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, fingertips to the earth. Extend the right leg straight back out of the right hip. And exhale, step the right toes back. Surrender the right knee to the mat. And inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Exhale, guide your left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale, find length along the backside body. Stay here, or on your next exhale, bring your right hand to the mat directly underneath your right shoulder. Kick your right heel in towards your glute and reach your left hand back for the outside of your right foot, coming into corkscrew pose. So twisting from the belly button up, just like we did in that first seated gentle twist in class. And if your foot and hand don't meet, that's okay. You can still come into a twist by just reaching those left fingertips back. If you do have that connection, maybe draw that right heel in a little bit closer towards your glute for a deeper stretch in the front of the right leg, in the quadricep and in the hip flexor. On your next exhale, release with control. Bring your left hand back to the mat. Step back, high plank. Inhale, shift forward, and exhale slowly with control. Lower all the way to your belly. Inhale, cobra pose. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Hug your elbows in towards one another. And for a challenge, hover your palms. Continue to squeeze those elbows like little cricket wings, lengthening your chest up towards your chin, belly button back towards spine. Release. Inhale, high plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg, and exhale, step your right hand next to your right thumb. Crescent lunge, surrender your left knee, and on an inhale, fingertips rise towards the sky, pinky slightly in towards one another, gaze lifts. Remember, right hip draws back, left hip draws forward, and fire up the inner thighs by pressing the sole of the right foot into the mat, and imagine that you're pulling that right heel back towards the back of your mat. Stay here, or on your exhale, Bring your left hand to the mat under your left shoulder. Kick your left heel in towards your glute and reach back for the pinky edge or the top of that left foot with your right hand. Corkscrew pose. So the left ribs are drawing underneath your body towards the right side of the mat, and your right ribs are peeling open towards the back side of your mat. Again, if you can reach that heel in closer, draw the heel in closer towards your glute. One more inhale. Exhale. Right hand to the mat. Step back. High plank. Top of a push-up. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, vinyasa. Either lower all the way to your belly or chaturanga, 90-degree bend in the elbows. Hug your elbows in towards your side body. And then inhale, cobra or upward facing dog, which is the same shape as cobra, but our thighs are up off the mat. Hug your shoulder blades in towards one another to press your heart space forward. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, step or float to the top of your mat, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Sit your hips low. You can even bring your fingertips to your hip creases to guide them back. And notice how that pushes your shins back. Gaze down to make sure you can see your toes. This is an excellent place to use a block if you'd like to bring it between your inner thighs. It keeps those muscles hugging in towards one another. They have a tendency to splay out. And then inhale, fingertips directly out of the shoulders, pinky slightly turned in towards one another, or arms extended overhead, biceps in line with the ears, but the shoulder blades are drawing way down the back. We're going to stay here and hold for layer one. Layer two, we're going to interlace our hands behind our backs. Press the palms together. If your hands don't reach, just keep your hands pressing in towards one another with your triceps lifted towards the ceiling. And layer three is sparrow pose. We're going to come up onto the tippy toes, draw the soles of, or the heels up away from the mat, and then continue to lengthen your palms back and maybe lift them just a little higher. Find a focus point, your drishti, a non-moving spot to keep your gaze. Enjoy the burn in your legs. It means they're getting stronger. And on your next exhale, release, forward fold. Block back to the top of the mat if you used it. Inhale, halfway lift. Extend your left leg straight back out of your left hip. Hug the outer left thigh in. And exhale, step the left toes back. Low lunge. So feet are hip width distance apart. Think railroad track, not tightrope. Right knee directly over the right ankle. And inhale, sweep the arms overhead, crescent lunge. Take a bend in your back left knee. Guide your tailbone down and stack your shoulders over your hips. Inhale, straighten into that left leg. Make sure that your ankles stack directly over your toes. And exhale, crescent lunge, airplane arms. Swim your fingertips back. Engage your triceps to lift your pinkies towards the ceiling as you hover your belly over that right thigh. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, airplane arms. So remember that the belly isn't resting on the thigh. We're lengthening out of our waist. Crown of the head is drawing forward. Inhale, crescent lunge, and exhale, warrior one. Spin the back foot flat, find heel to heel alignment, and the left toes, the back toes are pointing towards the top left corner of your mat. Imagine you have little headlights on your hip points, and they're shining forward to light the way for you. The fronts of our shoulders the same, facing the front of the mat. Inhale, extend the arms overhead, pinkies in towards one another, 90-degree bend in your right knee. And exhale, open it up, warrior two. So heel to arch alignment, my right heel is drawing a line straight back towards my left arch. And fire up your inner thighs by imagining that you're pulling your mat, scrunching it together with your left arch and your right ankle. Guide your right knee out towards your pinky toe. And as you do that, imagine this right thigh spiraling open back. Hug the muscles in the right thigh in, so like you're drawing your femur into your right hip socket. Press through the left pinky edge of your foot to fire up all the muscles in that left leg. Again, like you're pulling that left femur bone up into its hip socket. And then go ahead and extend your arms. Gaze out gently over your right middle fingers. And inhale, peaceful warrior, reverse warrior, side body stretch. Down the right side body as you walk those left fingertips down the right leg. Inhale, warrior two. And exhale, extended side angle. Legs stay the same. Lengthen the torso forward, just like in that airplane pose. Option to bend the right arm, press into the right inner thigh, or bring your right hand down to your right ankle. Reach those left fingertips up towards the sky. Inhale, warrior two. And exhale, pivot your heart towards your right thigh. Bring your palms to the ground. Step your right foot back. Vinyasa, chaturanga, or lower to your belly, up dog or cobra, or just skip it and meet us in downward facing dog. Remember, this is your practice, and while I'm here to guide you, you have to be your own best teacher in deciding what's best for your body today. So if there's some discomfort because something is difficult, challenge yourself to breathe, to stay present, and perhaps to find some comfort in the discomfort. However, if something is painful, you need to stop, back it off, and find that spot where you just begin to feel the stretch and what's right for your body. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step or float as quietly as you can to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, powerful belly. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rise, Utkatasana, chair pose. Grab the block if you used it last time. Stay here as you sit your hips back just a little bit more. Or join me in sparrow pose. Interlace your hands behind your back. Draw your knuckles towards the back of your mat as you lift your palms up towards the sky, and then come into the balance. Continue to hug those knees in towards one another or squeeze the block. Maybe you can lift the backs of your arms just a little bit higher. Maybe you can sit your hips a little bit lower. One more inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. This time extend your right leg straight back out of that right hip. Hug your outer right hip in. Slightly pigeon toe all 5 right toes in towards the midline of your body, and lift from the inseam of that right leg. Exhale, step the toes back. Low lunge. Make sure your left knee is stacked directly over your left ankle. Press all 4 corners of your left foot into the mat. Fire up the inner thigh, and inhale, crescent lunge. Bend into that back knee if it helps you find the alignment in your pelvis. So tilt your your hip points up towards your low ribs. Lengthen the backside body, and then straighten into that back right leg. On your next exhale, crescent lunge, airplane arms. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, crescent plane. Lengthen the crown of your head forward, your tailbone back. Squeeze your triceps. Inhale, warrior one. Spin your back foot flat. Right toes point towards the top right corner of the mat. Left heel is directly in line with the right heel. 90-degree bend in your right knee. Give a press into the pinky edge of your right, or 90-degree bend in the left knee. Give a press into the pinky edge of your right foot to guide your right hip forward. One more inhale, length along this backside body. And exhale, open it up. Warrior two. Make your adjustments with your feet here. If they aren't spaced properly in the transition from warrior one to warrior two, spread them out. Flip your palms up. Drop your shoulders into their sockets. Squeeze your shoulder blades together like you're hugging in an imaginary pencil. Palms back down, and then hug all the bones in the arms to the muscle. Find length in your neck as you gaze out over those left fingertips. Inhale, reverse warrior. Legs stay exactly the same. It's a side body stretch. My gaze is up towards my left hand. My chest is facing the right. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, extended side angle. Left elbow finds the inside of the left knee. The left ribs peel under and the right ribs peel open. Left hand to the left ankle, option. And if you can, gaze up towards your right fingertips. But if you can't, then you gaze down towards the ground. Inhale, warrior two. And exhale, windmill your palms. Step back, high plank. Flow through your vinyasa or meet us in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, inhale, shift forward, high plank, top of a push-up, and exhale, slowly lower all the way down to your belly. So continuing to draw your elbows back towards your heels, front side body arrives at once. Untuck your toes, bring your chin to the mat, and go ahead and bring your arms long by your side with your palms facing up. We're going to do some spinal strengthening here. So oftentimes we strengthen our front core and we kind of forget about our back core, which are all these muscles in our back that support our spine, that help with our posture, that keep our low back safe. So we're going to come into a variation of locust. Bring your thumbs onto the mat and your pinky fingers facing up, just like in our airplane lunge. And inhale, begin to lift your shoulders, your chest, and maybe your upper ribs off the mat. Continue pressing the tops of your feet into the mat as you lift your pinkies up towards the sky. And imagine you're pressing your block or a ball between your hands. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, lift your legs off the mat. So continue lengthening your chest forward, your tailbone back towards the backs of your knees, and then pull your belly button in like there's a little thumbtack underneath your belly button, and you want to not have it touch your skin. Keep that low back safe by engaging your front abs. One more inhale, lift a little higher. And then exhale, surrender left ear to the mat. Gaze towards the right. And feel your breath. Feel your heart beating. Maybe you hear your heart beating. And just take a moment of gratitude here for that beating heart and that quick breath. There are a lot of people right now who are fighting just to have that basic breath and that basic heartbeat. Be so grateful that you're here and that you're able to practice. All right, on your next inhale, chin comes back to the mat. Interlace your hands behind your back. If that's an option, press your palms in towards one another. If it's not, you continue to press your palms in towards one another, lift your triceps, And then inhale, locust pose. Start with peeling your front body off the mat, and then add in the leg lift if that's in your practice. So hug your shoulder blades in towards one another. Continue pulling your knuckles back towards your heels, and then lengthening your tailbone, your sits bones, towards the backs of your knees. Gaze can be down or gaze can be forward, whichever feels better to you. One more inhale. Exhale, surrender, right ear to the mat this time. Arms down by your side. We're going to stay for a couple of breath cycles. All right, inhale, chin back to the mat. Option to take locust again. Or if you'd like to move on, we're going to come into bow. So bend your knees, draw your heels in towards your hips. Reach your hands back for your ankles or your outer feet. Imagine you're hugging that block, or actually put the block between your upper thighs in towards one another. And then begin to peel as you press foot into hands, hands into feet. So a really good stretch for our quadriceps and our hip flexors here. So if your entire chest and ribs are off the mat, you can gaze forward, otherwise gaze down, and maybe lift a little bit higher by pressing your feet or your ankles into your hands and your hands back into your feet or your ankles. One more inhale, guide those shoulders down towards your low back. And exhale, surrender. You can windshield wiper your feet from side to side if that feels good. And then on an exhale, release your feet. Inhale, tuck your toes, bring your palms underneath your shoulders, high plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Again, find any movement in your dog that's right for you. We're going to flow through our standing series one more time, and we're going to mix it up just a little bit and add on a bit. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step or float feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, strong core. Exhale, fold, and inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Sit your hips low, draw your belly button in and up. Feel your abdominal muscles engage here as you guide your tailbone slightly down and towards the back of your mat. Ground your right foot. We're going to come in for some balancing. And as we exhale, we're going to come into airplane pose. So hinging on the right hip, lengthening the chest forward, extending the fingertips back, pinkies towards the ceiling, and very carefully crescent lunge, airplane arms as those left toes meet the mat, left heel directly over the toes, belly hovering above the right thigh. Inhale, crescent lunge. And exhale, warrior one. So again, heel to heel alignment. Left toes face the top left corner of the mat. Take an inhale, lengthen the backside body. And exhale, interlace the hands behind the back. As you draw your palms down, your knuckles down, your chest lifts into exalted warrior. Give a good press into the entire sole of the front right foot. And imagine you're pulling that right heel back. Option to stay here if you'd like to explore humble warrior. Hinge from your hips, lengthen forward just like in that airplane lunge, and work your right shoulder to the inside of the right knee. So again, keeping the hips squared means really isometrically pulling that right hip back, left hip forward. If you try this humble warrior and something hurts, come back up to warrior one. If you'd like to stay for another breath, draw your chin in towards your chest. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, we all meet back in warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, peaceful warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, skandasana. Pivot on your right heel. Draw your right toes over towards the left. Bend your left knee. Left toes tracking, or left knee rather, tracking out over the left toes. And find that inner thigh stretch in the inner right leg. Right toes flexed up towards the ceiling. Palms to heart center if you'd like to challenge your balance. Otherwise, fingertips on the earth. Or another option is to come into a lateral lunge over here. So left hip way back, still stretching into that right inner thigh. One more inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Lift the backs of your hips. Preparing for Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. So press the outer ankles away from one another and hug the inner leg muscles up and in towards your hips like you're holding a big stability ball between your thighs. Palms underneath your shoulders. Stay here with a micro bend in your knees or fold forward into Prasarita Padottanasana. Slow your breath and come into your depth of the posture. So this is a posture where if you have a regular practice, maybe you like to take it a little bit deeper. Maybe you like to practice it a little bit differently by grasping the outer soles of your feet with your hands or walking your hands back towards the back of your mat. Whatever it is, do what's right for you. On your next inhale, come up, halfway lift. Extend your arms out like wings and exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the right leg, maybe walk the left foot in a bit. And exhale, Trikonasana, triangle pose. So again, this is an excellent place for a block. If you want to bring that block to the inner right leg or the outer right leg, creating that triangle between your right side body, your knee, and your arm. So hugging both hips in, tailbone draws down towards that back left heel. Slowing your breath. Or if you don't have a block, maybe your hand comes to your shin, or maybe your elbow just comes to the inside of your right knee. Continue pressing into the big toe of the right foot and imagine that you're pulling that right heel back towards your left arch. Inhale, rise, warrior two. Exhale, windmill your palms, flow through your vinyasa. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step or float to the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. And inhale, rise, Utkatasana, chair pose. So finding your balance on your left foot this time. Imagine you're growing some roots from the bottom of that left foot into the mat. Begin to hover your right toes, hinge at your hips, swim your fingertips back, lift your triceps up towards the ceiling, lift your right leg and in line with your left, and step back, crescent lunge, airplane arms. Hover your belly, lengthen the backside body, and inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior one. The heel of the right foot releases to the mat. The right toes face the top right corner of your mat. Guide your right hip forward, left hip back. Exhale, interlace your hands behind your back. Exalted warrior. Continue to press your palms in towards one another. Find that 90-degree bend in the left knee. And if you'd like to take it into humble warrior, hinge from your hips, lengthen your torso forward just like an airplane, and hook the left outer shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Continue pressing that left sole of your foot into the mat and pulling that left heel back as you guide your right hip forward. Maybe you lift your palms a little bit higher towards the front of your mat. Maybe you draw your chin in towards your chest. Inhale, use your core, come up. Release your hands and exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Pivot the left heel. Exhale, skandasana. Bend into the right knee. Keep your right toes and right knee in a line. And flex your left toes up towards the ceiling. Fingertips can be down on the earth. Fingertips can be at heart center. Make sure your shoulders are drawing down away from your ears. Your belly button is pulling up towards your low ribs. And again, if you have any knee pain, you can come into a lateral lunge here. So I'm sitting my hips back onto my right heel, and I'm still feeling an awesome stretch in that left inner thigh. Slow your breath. And then bring your palms to the earth. Feet wide, all 10 toes facing the front, the long edge of the mat, or slightly pigeon-toed in towards one another. Find length in your halfway lift. And then exhale, fold forward. Continue to squeeze your quadriceps. Squeeze the inner leg muscles up like you're holding onto that giant ball. And press out through your outer ankles. An added layer here is to interlace your hands behind your back. Come into Prasarita C. Begin to draw the palms forward, overhead. Keep a micro bend in your knees and shift your weight towards your toes, but make sure that your weight is still in your heels as well. Release your hands. Extend your arms out like wings. Use your core. Come up to standing. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten your left leg. Hug the outer hips in, tailbone down. Lengthen your side body forward, Trikonasana, triangle pose. So, think about that top thumb drawing back, spiraling of the ribs, just like an extended side angle. So the left ribs are spiraling under the body, the right ribs are spiraling back. I have a tick-tocking of my arms, 6 and 12 o'clock. And then lengthen the crown of your head forward. Stretch the right and left side of your body. Keep a micro bend in that front left knee. And give a press into that left big toe. Gaze down. Inhale, warrior two. And exhale, Vinyasa. We will all meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, half pigeon on the right. Right knee comes behind the right wrist. Right ankle in line with the left hand. So my leg is making more of a 7 shape here. My right shin is not parallel to the front of the mat. And that's where my that's where my knee needs to be today. Because if I force a straightening in my shin, then my hips and my shoulders open up towards the left. And that's not what we want. In half pigeon, we want our hips and our shoulders facing forward. Bring your fingertips back towards your right foot and your right knee. Take a peek back over your right shoulder and notice how that guides your right hip back and your left hip forward. Make sure that that left leg is in a nice straight line. And if you're not already there, come down into your full expression of half pigeon. So if you have a block and you're feeling like your hips are particularly tight today, you can bring your palms up onto the block, or your forearms up onto the block. Just continue drawing your chest forward, tailbone back. For some of us, we're completely lying flat with our forehead on the mat. And wherever you're at, think about some place that you can soften. Where are you gripping? For me right now, it's my outer right hip. So I'm gonna wiggle my right toes, and I'm gonna focus my breath into my outer hip, imagining that each inhale is inflating, expanding that area. And each exhale allows me just to let go of whatever tension I'm holding on to. Continue those deep breaths. This is a good place to see if maybe you can inhale for a slow, controlled count of 5. And then match that slow, controlled count of 5 with your exhale. One more full breath cycle. Don't get excited and cut the breath short. Keep it for that same 4 or 5 count for the inhale, and 4 or 5 count for the exhale. On your next inhale, walk your fingertips underneath your shoulders, palms underneath your shoulders. Tuck your left toes and just very subtly lift your left knee away from the mat. We're going to extend our right leg out to the right. So a 90-degree bend in the right knee, and there's a straight line from my right knee to my right hip. Extend your arms out like a T and come to rest on the outside of your left ear, so like the left side of your head. Take a couple breaths here in this really nice restorative posture. And decide if you want to stay here or if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper. So layer 1, bend the right elbow, pull the right fingertips in towards the face. Begin to shift your weight onto your left shoulder, left hip, and then extend the right foot back behind you. Right foot rests flat on the mat. And then if you need to readjust that left arm to make sure that it's in a direct straight line from your left fingertips to your left shoulder, do that. And then layer 2, a really deep opener for the left shoulder. Just begin to peel those right fingertips away from the mat and draw them back behind you. Now some people might be able to interlace their hands. I'm not there, so I'm just letting gravity draw my right fingertips over towards the left. But I can feel a stretch in the front of my left shoulder. If it's painful, bring your right hand back to the right side of your mat. One more inhale, maybe peel that right knee open just a bit more. And then exhale, slowly roll back onto your belly, straighten your right leg down by your left. Bring your palms under your shoulders, tuck your toes. Inhale, high plank. Exhale to our final downward facing dog of our practice. Taking any movement here that you'd like to take in this last downward facing dog, and just noticing how different you feel in this dog than in that final dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, half pigeon. on the left. Take a peek back over your left shoulder, bump your left hip back, right hip forward, and then make sure that you have a space between your left hip and the mat, and there's a space in front of your right hip and the mat. So I don't want to come down onto my outer left hip. I want to keep that space between the hip and the mat, and then surrender down to your deepest expression of pigeon. And if you have any pain in your knee whatsoever, please shift onto your back and come into a figure four. We never want to stretch our knee. So like I said, if it's uncomfortable, if you're experiencing some discomfort, do your best to breathe through it with those slow, steady breaths. Teaching our mind to find some space between emotion and reaction, because we don't like to feel discomfort. We don't like to feel vulnerable. But truly, the only way to grow is by letting yourself be vulnerable, is by feeling a little bit of discomfort and reminding yourself that sometimes it's okay to be uncomfortable. You have a tool, your breath, that is with you wherever and whenever that you can use to breathe and to remind yourself that it's going to be okay. The more we show up on our mat regularly, the more opportunities we have to practice finding some comfort in discomfort, to practice feeling vulnerable. And maybe you feel vulnerable when you give yourself permission to back off a little bit. Or maybe you feel vulnerable when you give yourself permission to try something new and allow yourself to fail at it. Or allow yourself to stumble, allow yourself to fall, and then pick yourself right back up again. Dust yourself off and either find a new path to get to the same goal, or just continue knowing with knowledge that you've gained. On your next inhale, walk your hands up. Tuck those right toes, very subtly lift the right knee and swing the left leg out. Knee bent in line with your left hip, right ear on the mat, arms out like a T, and feel that nice release in the front of your left hip. And this should feel really good in your low back as well. Give yourself permission to stay here if this is where you need to be today, if this is the shape your body needs to be in. If you'd like to take it into a little bit deeper of a stretch for that right shoulder and that left hip, just begin to bend that left elbow, walk your fingertips in towards your face, roll onto your right shoulder, right hip, as that left foot finds the earth behind you. Imagine peeling that left knee open ever so slightly, and then for the deeper shoulder stretch, you're going to bring those left fingertips over towards your right. And if you need to move your right arm, move your right arm so that it's in line with your shoulder more. It's the beauty of being human, is that you're not planted, you're not a tree. You can move at any point on or off your mat if something doesn't feel right. Get up and move and find what feels right for you. And when you're ready, bring the left hand back to the mat. Roll back onto your belly. Bring both arms in underneath your shoulders, and we're just going to roll onto our back here, facing the back side of our mat. Come into a dead bugs pose. So I like to reach for the outside edge of my feet, bring my elbows to the insides of my knees, and then use my elbows to kind of just gently guide my knees open a little wider. Check in with the back of your head, the backs of your shoulders, and your tailbone. They should all be nice and flat on the mat. So maybe that means your legs are a little bit straighter, or you reach for your ankles, or you reach for your shins. Whatever part of your body you need to hold on to keep your low back safe. Now we're going to stay in a half dead bugs on the right. So keep your right hand and your right foot exactly where they are. Bring your left foot down to the mat and bring your left arm out to your side. If your hips are really open, you can even extend your left leg nice and long and flex your left toes back towards your knee. Keep your shoulders and your hips pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And think about that right knee just gently, maybe brushing the outer right ribs. If not now, then someday. And all 5 right toes are facing back towards the right shoulder. We're going to come into a gentle twist. So if your left leg wasn't straight, go ahead and straighten it. Bring your right knee over to the left side of your mat. Extend your right arm out long and gaze out towards your right fingertips. Keep your belly button drawing up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like to take this stretch a little bit deeper, we're going to come into the pose called cat pulling its tail. You're going to bend your left leg, the leg that's on the bottom. And you're going to bring your right hand to your left foot. So we're just stretching into that left quadricep a little bit more. And if you'd like a little bit deeper stretch into your IT band on the right, you're going to straighten into that right leg as much as you can. And maybe your right hand comes down towards your right shin. Keep both shoulders, the backs of both shoulders on the mat. And super flexible ones might even be able to reach your 2-piece fingers for your right big toe. Wherever you're at, remember to breathe. And then gently unbind. Very slowly come onto your back. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe draw some circles, rock side to side, neutralize your spine. Come back into dead bugs pose. And this time we'll do half dead bugs on the left. So bring the sole of your right foot to the mat, extend your right arm out long, and then decide if it's right for you. Just straighten into your right leg. It all depends on what's going on in the front of your hips today. And it could be completely different than it was yesterday, and it's likely totally different than it's gonna be tomorrow. So just respect where you're at today and be true to yourself. Do what's best for you. Keep your low back flat on the mat. Keep the backs of your shoulders relaxed on the mat. Keep the back of your head relaxed on the mat. And then focus your breath into the front of that left hip. Coming in for our spinal twist, bring your right hand to the outside of your left knee as you gently guide the left big toe, left shin or left knee over towards the mat. Gaze up or out towards the right, but think about isometrically drawing your belly button up towards the ceiling. Slow and steady breaths. Stay here in your twist, or to take it a little bit deeper, bend your right knee, reach your left hand for your right foot, and then straighten into your left leg, reaching your right hand either for your left thigh, the back of your left knee, or your left calf. And always have the option to keep that left knee bent as well. Whatever is right for you in the stretch. If the leg is stretched, you'll feel a little bit of an opening in that left IT band that runs the length of the outer left hip. But if you feel any pain, bend it. And then keep your gaze up towards the ceiling. The backs of the shoulders are relaxed on the mat. Maybe lift the corners of your mouth. Smile. Give yourself some love for showing up on your mat today, for taking this time for yourself, so that when you step off your mat, you can give back to others, because we can't give from an empty cup. That's why this time for ourselves each day is so important. Roll onto your back, hug your knees into your chest. Find some compression this time, either interlacing your fingers, reaching towards opposite elbow, reaching opposite wrist, whatever it is for you. Tailbone flat on the mat, shoulders relaxed, and just hug your knees in towards your chest. Likely feel some sensation, maybe a little pinch in the front of the hips. That's our hip flexors saying hello. And then curl yourself up into a tight, tiny little ball. Taking the deepest inhale breath you've taken yet today. And the loudest, longest open mouth exhale as you find Shavasana. Allow yourself to take up space. Allow yourself to be heavy and surrender completely to the mat. I like to give a little press into the back of my head, lift my shoulders off the mat, snuggle my shoulder blades in towards one another, and then allow my shoulders to truly relax here. Let your fingers splay open, toes splay open. Come back to a natural rhythm of breath. Tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth. Eyeballs are heavy in their sockets. Allow your thoughts to come and go. Don't hang on to them. Don't invite them in. Don't serve them tea. Just continue your breath. Is there anywhere in your body that you could be heavier, that you could surrender a little bit more onto your mat? If you have the gift of time, press pause and stay in Shavasana for as long as you can. If you're ready to move on, just begin to deepen your breath. Rock your head side to side for a nice massage for the back of your skull. And begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Extend your arms long overhead as you stretch your toes forward. Maybe you even hollow your belly as you press your low back into the mat. And then roll onto your right side. Bend your knees. Head rests on your bottom bicep. Top palm rests on the earth. And then press up to a cross-legged seat. Exactly where we started our practice today. I was going to say this morning, but it might not be morning where you're practicing. Go ahead and bring your thumbs to your heart center, thanking yourself for showing up on your mat. Bring your thumbs to your third eye center, center of intuition and knowledge. Namaste. Thank you all for practicing with me today. If you have requests for postures or something you'd like to see in a future flow, please leave it in the comments below. If you'd like to get notifications each time I release a new video, click the subscribe button and the little bell icon, and then you'll get messages to your inbox each time I release a new flow. If you'd like to go back through the archives and find some older classes, you can go back and see what's available. There's probably probably about 5 classes available on there. My goal is to continue making at least one a week. So again, let me know what you want to see, let me know what you like, let me know what you'd like to change. And I'll meet you back here on your mat next time. Until then, have a great day.